Welcome to another season of the OG Gambling Syndicate. I'm Joe Giglio, joined by Josh Goodson. Josh, RTP Mortgage. How are you today, sir?
Doing great, Joe. It's Christmas, right?
You've had a countdown, man. I mean, you started, I think. I mean, there was Russell Wilson.
Whatever day NC State lost to Purdue, the day after we lost to Purdue in Phoenix, I think I've been counting down. No, it's exciting. Life is just better with football too, Joe. That's just my opinion. So,
I totally agree.
Excited. How about you?
I am. I watched week 0.
I'm excited for college football in general. Sorry. I'm just excited for this season. Yeah. I think there's the 12-team playoff fascinates me. More teams are going to have things to like. How many? Hypothetically, NC State has not been in the ACC race the last few years, even though they've been kind of close. But the last few years, we could have been looking at like, okay, we went out, we can be like backdoor into the top 12 and make the playoff and little things like that. I'm excited for that. I'm excited for all the new. I don't love realignment, but I'm excited for like Texas to play Georgia and all the crazy the good games that will come of that. So I'm excited for football.
And I think we already got a taste of what college football is going to be this season in week 0. Florida State loses to Georgia Tech, and I see a lot of people being like, "Oh man, Florida State, they're done." That's old thinking. They're not done. They're not done. The ACC champion is all but guaranteed a spot in the college football playoff. I mean, they technically have to be one of the top 4 teams in the Power 4 conferences. So I think they're going to be okay on that front. So Florida State could easily play their way in, but I looked at Georgia Tech and the way that they played last week, Josh. We've seen a flattening in college basketball because of the transfer portal of the teams. And I think if you look at everyone but Georgia at this point in Ohio State, when they go out and play, I got news for you. The other team's going to have guys. And they're going to have guys that you're like, where the heck did he come from? Oh, well, they have this Fresno State transfer who threw for 5 million yards last year. And, I think you're going to see that all across college football this year.
They've got a tight end from Connecticut.
Right.
Who looks like he could be like who plays the same type role as a Travis Kelce and big tight end in the middle of the field. Talking about NC State, of course, but yes, you're exactly right. I'm with you on that. I think outside the Georgias of the world and Ohio States, I think that everyone's got some dudes in some point, and if you don't, your coach needs to be fired. Honestly,
yes, absolutely. So this idea came about because you and I have done picks before. You and I will have a contest with each other. Okay, cool. We've done golf picks. And by the way, shouts to Matt Harvey's college roommate who came up to me at the OG Summer Jam and said, thank you for the golf picks. Those top 20 picks that you guys have. Goodson with his first round leaders. Just want you to know I made enough money this year to head into football season.
Nice.
So that was our goal. So we've helped you, the listener, the watcher, with golf picks before. Still think golf is the best thing to bet on because it's the highest return. But you had the idea because in your position in the Hurricanes tickets that you have, and you're like, you know what? Let's maybe once a month we'll give away Hurricanes tickets. Mm-hmm. And you said just fish around DraftKings, which is what we did, and go find somewhere to get us a contest, which I did. So let me get that link. I posted it on Twitter, but I'll post it here in the feed as well so that people can see it. Go to the link. You're going to pick games every Saturday. I can't control the games that were picked, okay? But you can enter our group, and you'll see there's 10 games this week. I don't know if you want to go through the 10 games or not. They're all on Saturday, Josh. I was thinking that you and I would talk about the 2 games tonight, the numbers that we have tonight for NC State, Western Carolina, and then the number for Carolina and Minnesota, which seems to be moving around a little bit, or at least it has this week. So that's the deal. And it just so happens that there's only 1 week left in August. So the best record this week is going to get 4 tickets. 4 or 2? How many do you want to do?
Let's start with 2 for the first week.
Okay, first week is 2 since it's only 1 week. How about that?
Tickets, yeah.
Okay, so we'll work it out. But Josh has tickets to all the Canes games, so we'll figure out an accommodation for you guys if you are the winner this week. And then for September, we'll do the whole month of September.
Yep.
We'll do the same thing. The winner, the best record at the end of September, will get Canes tickets.
Correct.
You have state basketball tickets too for some non-conference stuff. If we can work that out.
I got state basketball. Hell, I got state football that I don't know if I'll be able to.
Okay, I wasn't gonna throw those out there, but
no. I mean, I have access to more usually than than I put on to. So you may have to sit at a game with me, which I don't know if that's a reward for somebody or not. But we'll figure that out along the way.
And before I pop this on the screen, it is RTP Mortgage still, right?
Yes.
Okay, so there it is. All right, that's the best way to find our guy. Josh Goodson, RTP Mortgage. You can actually call him 252-361-1415 or go to rtpmortgage.com. It's important, though, in this market, and obviously the election could change a lot of different things, and we know how the cycle works, Josh, and you've already seen some numbers come down. The best thing to do, though, is have a conversation and figure out what you can possibly afford.
Yeah, if you're trying to buy a house, reach out. Rates are coming down. That's not just like me just saying something for the people to hear, right? Like, hey, rates are coming down. It's actually happening. You're probably in the anywhere from the high fives to the low sixes, and God, we were north of 7.5 for a while. All of most of last year and around 7 this year. So they are coming down. Reach out, and also refinancers are coming back. If you bought a house last year, you probably have a rate that does begin with a 7.
Yeah,
you can get a rate that begins with a 6 now. We could talk about refi or consolidating debt. Credit card rates are insane right now.
Yeah, they are.
Car loan rates can be high. All these other things that borrowing money. But if you have equity, there's ways that we can tap into your equity and help consolidate it. Or just basically lower your monthly payments. So reach out.
All right. So that's Josh Goodson, RTP Mortgage, 252-361-1415. All right, Josh. DraftKings is our official sponsor here for the OG Gambling Syndicate. You can use that promo code OG24, bet $5. You can get $200 in bonus bets. Just use that promo code OG24, and our good friends at DraftKings can help you out. Also on DraftKings, you'll see our OG Gambling Syndicate presented by, I think I put Movement Mortgage. That was previous stop. Still you. It's your umbrella.
Yeah, we're good. Yeah, that's okay.
So that's us. Find us there. All good. Make those 10 picks, and those are Saturday's games. But I did want to talk about tonight because if you're going to the game tonight, you know that NC State is going to win. But what's going to happen in this game? That in case you want to bet on something, right? So the full game line is 32.5. NC State home favorite. The full number is 61 for the total.
Mm-hmm.
NC State's team points are 42.5, which seems doable. Oh no, that's there's some different options there on DraftKings about what State's total.
Their team total is 47,
that's the actual betting number. You can get it super juiced at 42.5. So anyway, if you're new to gambling, go check out DraftKings. There's a lot there more than just picking a winner, picking a side, picking a total. Is anything jumping off of the page at you, Josh, as NC State comes into the season as one of the favorites in the ACC, but not the favorite, and also one of the 4 ranked teams in the ACC to start the college football season?
Yeah, for sure. Couple notes on Dave. With Dave at State facing FCS teams. Okay, it's happened 9 times since he's been in Raleigh. They've won every one, so I don't think there's an issue with winning or losing tonight. The actual game, they're 5-3-1 against the number, so they've covered basically 5 times. They pushed once and lost 3 times. And in those 9, the under has been more likely than the over. 5 times going into the under. If I was coming up with how could I maximize everything? And you kind of talk about game script. What do we think the game's going to look like? Next week is Tennessee on deck. So there's not going to be a lot in the playbook I think that they're going to throw out. But where do you stand on? Do you think that anything this week needs to happen from an offensive standpoint to kind of be ready for next week? Because you got to have the light flip switch next week. You can't go into next week in Charlotte just ground and pound and not be aggressive, because Tennessee will be those things and ready. You're going to have to. What do you do? Trade? What do you call it? Trade paint? You're going to have to be able to trade some paint, I think, in that game. And so it kind of, in saying that, I think that maybe we see a little bit more aggressiveness and explosiveness this week than we normally would against an FCS team. So I like State in the first half. I like what they got going on there. I think their total in the first half is 27.5. The number's 20.5 to cover the spread. I could see a scenario where they get up to a big lead and try to get Noah Rogers, sprung on the outside or get these new pieces clicking with Grayson McCall because they will have to next week to have a chance to win next week. So I'm kind of leaning that way. State first half, and then maybe like a full game under. I could see the return, the second string, third string being in the second half, and like.
I mean, 49-10's and under.
49-10. Yeah, that's what I say. 49-10's and under. I feel better about that than worrying about the spread. Because 45-14 is an under, but that's with a backdoor Western to cover, cover the spread at the end type deal. So where do you kind of land on that?
Western had a really just the cursory background I know. Western had a really good offense last year. Their offensive coordinator was hired by Pitt. Their running back and one of their receivers transferred to Pitt with the offensive coordinator. So they're not going to have. They're obviously still same head coach. They're going to have the same mentality, but I don't think they're going to be able to score more than 14 points against NC State. I would be surprised if they scored more than 14 points against NC State. In part because of this reason. The only doubt that's been spread this offseason about NC State has been about their defense.
Yeah.
And I've already had conversations with Dave Doran where he said, good, keep saying that. I love that people keep saying, how are you going to replace Peyton Wilson? As if we didn't have a top 25 scoring defense in 2022 when Peyton Wilson was out, So I think they love to have that type of motivation. I don't know about you, Josh. I love that they're playing this game.
Yeah.
We've seen this before. You open up with South Carolina, you out gain them by 400 yards, you still lose, and you're just deflated. So I think it's good to open the season with even Western Carolina, an FCS 1AA opponent. I think this is good. You're not going to see a whole lot in the playbook tonight, but you shouldn't have to, right? Mm-hmm. If I could find it, I would take Jordan Waters to score the first touchdown of the season. I think you're going to see them run the ball a little bit better this year. I think that's one thing people need to square a little bit. We saw so much Kevin Concepcion last night, and I know there's some rumors about whatever's happening with him tonight, but we saw so much of him last night. He had 150% more receptions than the next highest person on the roster. Okay. Yeah. Not to mention he was their second leading rusher behind a quarterback who really only ran. So technically he was basically their leading rusher last year too. So, for me, you look at that and you go, they're going to be a lot more diversified this year. There's a lot more mouths to feed. You do have Jordan Waters. I have not heard a ton about Hollywood Smothers other than in the return game. If you want to give out any secrets here that you went to your NIL scrimmage and saw whatever, but Jonathan Paylor's another guy we haven't heard a whole lot about this fall because of so many other things. I
wouldn't be looking for a lot of Paylor. He is a guy. He's one of the few guys that did not come in January.
Early, yes.
So at the scrimmage that you spoke of last week, you can tell why he was as highly recruited. You can twitchy stuff like that, but getting up and running to be in a college offense, and also having the weight and the size needed, he's not quite there. I mean, he's going to play some tonight, you would hope, right? Because you're on the second and third strings and such, and you'll see glimpses. But I wouldn't expect much from him. One little thing, a little nugget that I did see from the scrimmage and this guy started to pop a little at the end of last year. So KC was doing his thing. Dakari Collins.
They've talked a lot about Dakari.
He's an older dude now.
Yeah.
And he kind of looks like he has turned into that reliable. I need a 10-yard outrun, and I need it to be the guy at the right spot. I can rely on the guy, the 21, 22-year-old, the guy who's been around a few times to be the right spot. It looked like him and Grayson had a good little rapport at the during scrimmage and such. He is Dakari Collins to score a touchdown tonight is like plus 106 according to FanDuel. I kind of like that, honestly. Yeah. I think he's going to be a good safety valve. Him and Justin Jolie I think are going to be the two people that are going to be
another one. Yeah, I just think he's going to have a really good season too. And I don't think it's a bad thing if KC doesn't produce at the same level as he did last year.
If anything, that's a good thing because you have to. He's not going to be, he's not going to be defended the way that he was last year. Yeah. he should be. He will probably have lesser opportunities, but you would think have the ability to be way, way, way more explosive with his opportunities because of all the other attention that everyone else has to get on the offense. So if you're looking for my official plays, State first half, I don't hate that, the minus 20.5. State team total in the first half of 27.5. Western likes to play fast, I think, too. They would like to play fast if they're doing something. So I think State's going to have a good amount of possessions in the first half. I like the over 27.5 in the first half, and I don't maybe the full game under I kind of like as well because I'm kind of with you. I could see State getting up 31-7 at half and then putting the brakes on and just getting into next week. And like the trend said, when State plays these FCS opponents under Dave, generally they go under. And the exact type script that we're talking about.
Yeah, I like the under. I like the first half play. Let's hit Carolina here.
Yep.
They're at Minnesota. They opened as a small dog. They're now a 2-point favorite. So all of the late money and the game day money is moving on Carolina. They're a 2-point favorite. Minus 125 is a money line. I'd probably feel just better about my life in general if I took the money line on this one. If you're taking Carolina, which way do you like here? The Carolina actually beat Minnesota fairly handily last year down in Chapel Hill. They pulled away in the second half, I should say. But that was a different Minnesota team, and obviously now Drake May is in the NFL, so I don't think this is the same Carolina team either. And you have a little bit of Minnesota's a Big Ten team that wants to run the football.
Yeah.
Carolina's going to try to run the football. Not that they can't with Amari and Hampton. He's outstanding. But I just this one feels like I'm in an official stay away mode. Because I don't trust PJ Fleck.
You took the words right out of my mouth. I have no clue about Carolina's quarterback, and that matters.
Yeah.
No clue what to expect there. I do think that they, but there's also the August and September MAC effect.
Yeah.
They seem to be,
they run hot early, man. They run hot early.
They've had all off season where they haven't been told how good they are. They've had all off season where NC State's getting the hype. I think that matters to college kids, especially like in a first game environment type deal, right? I think you can feed off of like that. No one gave us respect type thing. So I think that's a plus for Carolina. I believe the defense is going to be better. Like at some point, they still got the Jimmies and the Joes, right? Yeah. I mean, like they will have more talent than Minnesota does. I am big on that. We talk a lot about gambling when it comes to football. I'm like, who's got the better players? Like I'm going to kind of start there and then work my way backwards. But it's a weird game. I could see it going any different direction. To be totally honest with you.
Total is 50.5. I kind of like the under in this game. I know you probably should never take the under in a Carolina game, but I could see this one being a slog fest. Who can run it? A lot of running block.
Low possessions. We saw last week like the low possessions and such with the Florida State Georgia Tech game. Yeah, and stuff like that.
I think it'll be a good game tonight too.
Yeah, I mean, if I would probably pick Carolina. I think the line has moved. I was hearing there's some injury concerns with some of Minnesota's better players, so that's kind of what flipped the number from 2.5 to the other side and such. But if I had to pick a side, it'd be Carolina. I do not feel good, but I don't feel great about that. I'll put it like that.
All right, so we've got 10 games on our schedule for the games on our DraftKings contest. Again, please go check that out. I have the address right there, and those 10 games are. Let's see, you're gonna So Penn State at West Virginia. Penn State minus 8.5.
Give me
preliminary thought.
Mountaineers.
Home team. They're going to be spunky. This used to be a rivalry. I suspect they show out for this. I wonder if this isn't Penn State's year, though. Kind of like last year was Michigan's year. I just wonder.
Yeah,
I don't know.
This is even if it can still be their year and they win by 7.
Yeah.
Like first games are just always weird. First games where you got to be ready to go and you got to be at a hostile environment to do it. We saw it a few years ago. State going to ECU. It was a game that State probably should have won by more. They kind of controlled it, but it ended up being a lot closer. Rowdy environment. I think that's going to matter. I do think that's going to matter. West Virginia has a bunch of momentum from last year. They think they were a 9-win team last year. Penn State can still be good, I think, and meet a bunch of their goals. But I think that I would take West Virginia if they're getting more north of a touchdown. I would take that
8.5. Another double-digit dog. I'm not going to talk about all these games, but Clemson and Georgia. I feel like we need to hit this one. Clemson's getting 13.5 points.
Yeah.
The last thing we saw was Georgia absolutely murdering the ACC champions, Florida State. Now, that was the carcass of Florida State. Georgia, obviously the most talented team in the country, the preseason number one. Everyone's picked to win. And in this format, quite frankly, just like Nick Saban probably wouldn't have lost any of those years, it's going to be really hard to beat Georgia in this format.
Yeah.
But they opened the season down in Atlanta. I'm inclined to take the points here, even though I don't have a shit ton of faith in Clemson's offense.
Clemson take the points. Yeah, I don't think Clemson has to win this game, to prove anything to me. But how they compete is going to be very fascinating to me.
Yeah,
because we've seen this before. How many times have Alabama played USC and the kickoff classic, and it's like a 40-point and I think Georgia's on that Alabama level now.
Agree.
And how many times have we seen Georgia's playing Missouri and they're laying 16? Why? What a few years ago, remember NC State is catching 17 at Clemson? That is crazy, right? And what happens? What happens, right?
Yeah.
You show up and it's yo, I was not.
That was gross.
They're familiar with their game, but it is true. It's like the Shaq. I really wasn't familiar with your game type thing. I'm with you on the points. I mean, Clemson's still got dudes. They still got talent.
Defensively, too. I mean, that's where it kind of has to be. They played 2 years ago in Charlotte. It was a 10-3 game.
Dabo's a pretty good motivator. He's very good at little old Clemson. Nobody, whatever, us against the world, even though he's won national championships and a million ACC titles, blah. No one plays the underdog better than Clemson does with all the glory they've had. But I would take the points, but I'm fascinated. What they do in this game is going to tell me a lot about them the rest of the year, I think.
Okay, 2 more.
Yep.
Miami at Florida. I know this is finally supposed to be the year for Miami. I have talked very little about what they've done. They've obviously have been portal champions this year. If NC State's not, then they are. Mario Cristobal is still their coach, but strangely, I kind of sort of believe in Miami this year. Or am I falling for the same trap over and over again?
I'm taking the Gators, man. At home, I'm big on momentum and vibes. Maybe. What has everybody told Florida all year?
That they're terrible. They have the hardest schedule. Their coach is going to be fired next week.
If you can't show, again, they could lose, and then it's okay, fade you. You were right. But from what a lot of the stuff I've been reading, Florida's issue, they have dudes. They just don't have a ton of depth. And I can think first game of the year, they're at home. They're facing an in-state rival. They're catching points. I think they won this. They won a game like this against Utah a couple years ago, where they were supposed to.
They did.
They were supposed to lose. They weren't. They were supposed to lose, or it was going to be tougher, and they ended up beating Utah. I think they're going to fight for their coach, who's literally already being fired, by everybody in the industry. It feels like. I like the Gators, and it's way more about liking them versus Miami. And there is some of the Miami show me. Are you this team? Are you that team that everybody thinks you are or not? So I like the Gators at the point with the points. Probably take them on the money line too.
All right, last one, kind of close to home here. It's Notre Dame at Texas A&M. So Notre Dame has Riley Leonard, Duke's quarterback from last year, and Texas A&M is Duke's coach from last year. Yep. Mike Elko. Notre Dame plus 3.5. I'm leaning Irish, even though you should never take Notre Dame in bowl games or big intersectional games on the road. I think Notre Dame's got a little bit of a squad this year, and maybe I have a little NC State Duke memory here, but I think Riley Leonard's pretty good.
Yeah, I still don't necessarily trust Notre Dame when they go against fast SEC-ish teams. Like, I just don't. I don't think that they're. I mean, Michigan getting over last year on Georgia was like the first time like any like Midwest based like we got big boys up front has like gotten over on an SEC like on an SEC or like southern based team. I guess it's a good way to say it. I like Elko. I like their defense. I like that he's going back. I'm pretty sure they've probably got a bunch of dudes because they had that insane recruiting class from a couple years ago. I like them at home. Like I just think maybe it's me thinking that every underdog covered in week 0. But like I like these underdogs, especially these underdogs at home. Getting ready to go. It's probably gonna be hot as hell in College Station, Texas. And how will Notre Dame deal with that? I don't know, but I think we're actually kind of opposite on most of these. Which is A&M.
I know. I like it. So I submitted my 10 picks. You can do the same. The URL address is right there on the screen. If you find me on Twitter, you'll see the tweet because there's that promo code BRISVL2. But again, it's free. So go to all you need is a DraftKings account. If you don't have one,
you don't have to download. You don't have to like give DraftKings money or anything like that. That's
no. This is a free contest that we're running. And this is your chance to beat us. This is your chance to win tickets courtesy of my friend Josh Goodson at RTP Mortgage, rtpmortgage.com. All right, man. I will see you over at Carter Finley tonight. Appreciate you hopping on. I'm ready to get this going. And again, enter for this week will be the month of August. And next week we'll start again for the month of September. And again, you can win those Canes tickets thanks to RTP Mortgage and Josh Goodson. Josh, enjoy it, man. See you tonight over at the stadium.
Thanks, guys.
Be good. All right. Got a couple comments here from Thomas, and I'll get out of here in a minute. Yeah, Thomas, love the pick idea. Just made my picks now. Yeah, love it. We're getting this thing rolling. I think Jermaine makes a good point here. Will a new elite class of teams be established over the next 10 years? All the programs you used to be there, right there, break through. Bama and FSU regress some, not drastically. Old guard meet new guard. Yeah, with this playoff, I think the format is going to lend itself to you're going to see. It's going to be really hard, I think, to get rid of Georgia. They might lose in the regular season. Heck, they could probably even lose twice in the regular season, which is really not going to happen. But then I think you'll see what happens in that playoff. Those best coaches are going to be the ones who end up making the most hay. All right, we will see you on the OG proper here at 1:00 on the OG. Appreciate you guys. Tune us in. We'll be back next week with some more OG Gambling Syndicate picks.